Hi, this is Serena and I'm giving my demo for ASE module assignment part 2. I've already filled the form for the P6. I had done the reassessment for part 1, so I just gave that the same link over here for my part 1 demo. Proceeding to version control and unit testing. This is my repository. I just copied this and pasted it over here. For the part 2 I have done 86 commits, and for the part 1 it's 75, so I just added it and that would be 161. Now we are jumping into program commands, starting with the loop command. I'll show you the working for it. Starting my code. So this would be the GUI of my code. I've already saved a loop file over here that so that it would be easy for me to explain it right now. So the loop, let me just execute it. As we can see, this loop file is working. I've updated the UI with the two new boxes to execute the programs in parallel. Let's proceed to its implementation part. I've used a structure stored like that stores the info while loop on the command parser. Here it holds the number of statements, and it also says like which line the line number this loops is defined, if condition statement, and initialization of loop. Whenever the command is while, I'm checking for the syntax, which would be over. First of all, to see if there is empty expression or incomplete program, I'll show these exceptions one by one, and after the syntax checking, I'm trying to check at which statement the loop is defined. If there is no end loop, there is exception again. I am preparing a loop block statement list and pushing all the statements which have line numbers starting from loop to end of the while loop. I am pushing all these statements in the path loop block statement, and also adding an object list to ignore the execution to push all the line which needs to be ignored during the execution, which will only be executed towards the parsing stand. We are at the cursor position to execute the loop. After the successful parsing, I am checking which loop user is trying to execute from the list, and I have written expression function which resolves the expression continuously, which this expression remains like I am executing all these expression within the loop body. Within the loop body, I've added the XML documentation for each part, and here is the unit test to check invalid syntax loop here. For example, let us try and change it over here. I'll try to change the code while writing equals to just execute the program. See, it's always returning the true so that the loop is infinite over here. Again, let's load the program. So now let's load the program again, the same file. So if I remove the end loop and check the syntax, that would be, I've implemented all the expression as well. Let's say that this is the output because it cannot be defined, like it is showing loop started but loop closing is not defined, so it's giving correct exceptions. So now let's see the commit. So this would be the commit here, and here's the implementation commit. This would be the commit for the loop statement. Just take these two. Moving towards the variable, I've implemented variables. I have a central function to store all the variable names over here, command parser. Starting from here, this is the list that holds all the variable names, and this holds the variable values. So whenever user types a var command, the basic syntax checking is done on. Basic syntax checking is done. If too many parameters are supplied and the parsing goes correct, After the syntax checking, I am pushing the variable names and variable values in the central array. Here is the documentation. Here's the documentation for the variables, and let me show the test part. Here's the test for the variables, and for the declaration test, variable declaration expression test, this one would be there, and I need to show the commit. Here's the commit for the variable declaration. This commit have already got the implementation and unit test collectively. Let me show it in the program now. I just opened the program. Let me type the code. Execute it. So we can see here is the circle is forming. So for the syntax checking, I'll just type r, the variable. Here we can see it's giving some kind of reply, insufficient parameter supplies, and it even gives the hint par variable name. So let's just check for 25. We can see invalid parameters are passed as a variable name. Now says too much parameters supplied and even gives the hint. So let me show the next thing. Let me define a variable for b a equals to 10, b equals to, sorry, should be giving an output. So we can see the next circle is also formed over here. So let me try with like some complex expression just by doing -2. Execute it. Here we can see the next is formed as well. If I'll try more fast, a -5 by 10, yeah, we can see the next circle is forming over there. I have written a function for the implementation in here. So here is it. It's to resolve the variable value I'm getting from that expression, and it's using recursion to solve it. And if the value can be passed straightforward, then it can be easily returned. But if it has got minus, I have left splits to the left opponent and right opponent, and resolve the value function. Like resolve value function is again called expression. So yeah, I just showed this. Going with the loop part, I'll just show it. So let me just, I'll load a file, which is same file. I'll clear everything. So here is the loop is controlled with the variable, and it repeats the statement. I can add a circle here as well. A. Now we can see both are working together. Here is the test file for while, and yeah, this is the commit for loop statement. Proceeding to next, if statement and if, and I'll show all these three together. For the if statement, I've saved another file that would be, yep, and let me correct the spacing. That would be 10. Cute. And it's showing a circle. For example, I'm declaring a variable, and if the value is true, it will draw a circle in the canvas as it did. If I'll try with the variable, it is set if it's set with the variable a, that's gonna show it always returns the 2. I've added another check as well, greater than 20, and that actually runs. Let's see the implementation part for it. This would be the implementation part. If the input command is if, then like I'm doing some syntax checking for the empty expression or incomplete program. And if the syntax checking is passed, I am declaring a variable and of if block. I am appending the statement to the block. After the syntax checking, I'm checking if and end if. If the syntax of the end if is not equal to -1, which indicates there is no end if, and one line if, I need to execute the immediate statement only. That's why I am adding only one statement. Here, If there is end if, I'm creating a loop here, generating a loop where the value is starting from index where if is located. The loop is executed while end if statement. These statements is like pushed to the if block statement list. Whenever if block is executed, all the statements will be executed, otherwise the statement will be ignored, but the syntax checking will be done. Here is the unit test for it. Here's the unit test for if command parsing. And now I'm gonna show my commit. This is the commit for this part. Proceeding toward the syntax checking. Oh, sorry, I forgot to multi-line short. Let me just show it and write it over here. I'm just gonna show my coding part for it equals to 10. Here we can see the circle is also formed and the rectangle is also formed. If I'll do one, if I'll make the check wrong, nothing shows there. I've shown the implementation already. Now we are gonna proceed towards the syntax checking, starting from the coding part. Just make it empty over there for some. So now from line number 1, we can just see there's A is accessed before declaration and there's invalid parameter A, command circle only accept integer parameter, and if not a valid command. So I can see the report over here showing for the implementation part. Here's the command is run. I'm controlling this with the variable in which the statement is cleaned and stored in, and yeah, this is the array part, and cleaning is done by the regular expression for extra spaces, unknown character like backslash, and in a new line or tabs. For each of the array, I am executing one command and checking the syntax using all those conditions, and only if the result is true and is not the line number we want to ignore for the execution, that is for while, if, or method block. This is not a syntax pass, or only then this function is executed to run the command, otherwise the parsing and syntax checking is done. If there are exceptions and if it's not successful or anything, all the results are logged on the tight side. Here is the commit for syntax. Proceeding to next, methods. Let me load the file and call the method file. This would be the method file. Like for example, I have method named drawTry over here. If I'll run this, here's one circle and here's another circle forming in the same canvas. If I'll type the new over here, so let us see what's the output. Another circle is also formed over here. Just like if and while block, I've also made the block for this method here. Here's the structure for the method block. Here I am storing method statement, method parameter count, method name, and the line, which line it is defined. And if the user is actually calling the method, missing method name or parameters and also trying to pass the correct format, then I am passing the parameters over. On the execution part, run GPL command, which runs after the successful execution of the syntax checking. I am executing this statement in method once the method is found based on the method name passed by the user. So let us check invalid username. I'll not write anything over here. It's gonna show an error. Method draw is not found. I'm gonna remove these three as well. Incomplete command. So incomplete program, nothing found after method declaration statement. So here is the test for the method syntax check, and I've even added the comments as well. And for the documentation, here is the documentation. Now let's proceed to the commit. These are the commits for the method call and method implementation. Let's proceed for the multiple parameters. Use the method parameter split function. I am splitting all the parameters and converting them into the integer, and on the call I am identifying all the parameters, and parameters is passed here. Parameters are passed here. Sorry, here. This is the place, the code block that actually passed the parameters. I'm pushing the parameters with the function resolve variable value, and in the method and parameter list. Provides two independent program windows, each of which can have a separate program. So let me draw the simple code here. We can see it is running completely fine in two different boxes. Yes. Program uses threads to ensure proper resource sharing. Yes, it have shown it over here. So I have created two threads here. One is for handling the first text box, which is over here, and the second one is to handle the second text box. Show two programs that move the pen independently, showing they do not interfere with each other. This should okay. 2 500, 500. I've tried, but I'm not sure if it's working or not, or what it have asked. But it's like no. So yeah, this one I've tried to do it, but it's not working that much. I just said no. But I have done the commit for multiple line command. But let me explain the part first. Like I have already shown that my program has two functions which actually call from two threads, form1 and form1, just here. And these are they are like receiving separate object of the form class. This is extracting the value from that thing. I've already separated each drawing related things in the canvas class. I'm just creating another fridge in this class form here and pass to the thread. I have kind of messed up the multi-threading part, but yeah. This is the commit for the multi-program and multi-thread documentation. Proceeding to next, design and implementation. I'll just show it over here. So here is my exception class. This is the main exception class from which extends exception class and provides method exception message. This is the child class. It tells if while is not used correctly or not. And the parm exception is showing it have got three types of exceptions, whether there are too many parameters or not, or it's insufficient, or there are no parameter, like it checks. The shape class is the main class for the shape, which has the shape interface, and I've added three methods over here. Initialize the shape and calculate area and calculate perimeter. These two are just for the guide. I've not used this anywhere. I just wanted to look professional. We have used this. So it receives shape, color, position, parameters from it. Proceeding to the circle. Circle has all the values from the shape, but it has only one optional parameter, radius. Radius is initialized using initialize object function. For the rectangle, there are like two variables drawn from the parameter list, and in the case of triangle, there only one is drawn here, the silent. To get the object of the shape class, I have created shape factory where I need to draw the object. So I'm getting object required class based on the values received from the parameters and passing whole object to rectangle class to draw the rectangle from here. I've added overloaded method over here where rectangle can be drawn with width and height, or the rectangle object like completely from here. Now proceeding for the commit part. These are the commits for rectangle and circle, triangle, everything. For the next thing, additional functionality. For the additional part, if I'll write a command over here, I've added a functionality, and if I'll click this button, it's gonna remove, like if I'll not click the button, let's say circle 30, we can see after clicking this, and if I write rectangle 100 comma 100 and run it, it automatically gets removed. So this is one. I've added the command history. If the command is successful or failure, it shows it over here as it is like showing right now. For each command, it displays a hint from here for every invalid command parameters over here. Like if I'll write pen 12, that's not correct, right? So let's execute it. It's going to show 12 is not a valid parameter. They give the hint as well. Likewise, if I'll write pen pink, execute, it's still pink is not a valid command. It's gonna show over here. Likewise, circle, so it's still not gonna. So I have got a invalid command section as well. I've given a hint, and that's everything. And the fourth one would be, let me just cross this out and start it again. I'll write a command, move to 100 comma 100, and just a random word, and circle 50. So the good thing is, even if there is error, the program completes the execution, but it even gives the output like this is not a valid command that would help me to get what's wrong in the program. So these are for the additional part that I've done. And that's everything for my project.